Pokemon. It needs no introduction. I mean, it's one of the most highest grossing media franchise in literally all of history, so I'm guessing you're at least somewhat familiar with Pokemon. Pokemon right now, I would say, is currently my main hyperfixation, but I am not one of those hardcore, know all the games, the differences between all the types of games, memorize every single Pokedex possible, knows an insane amount of trivia, memorizes every single gym leader, gym type. I am not that insane of a Pokemon fan, but the way it looks right now, I may be going down that track. But currently, I would say I'm in the boat of Pokemon fans who have watched a couple seasons of the anime, played 2 or 3 of the games and really enjoyed it, has some merchandise, and I overall just really enjoy this franchise as a whole. So, because I tend to make content revolving around whatever I am currently hyperfixated on, I wanted to make a video where I combined 2 things that I've been enjoying lately: character design and Pokemon. While I was playing Pokemon Violet, I had the idea of turning all 6 of my Pokemon on my team into human version Gajinkas. I had the idea of doing all 6 of my Pokemon on my team, but honestly, I don't have the time or energy to do that. I already have enough pain editing and drawing as it is, so I am doing the first 3 Pokemon on my team. And I will be drawing them all in my catch order. Meaning, the first Pokemon on my roster is the Pokemon I first got in the game, which is Quaquaval, which I am pretty sure that's how you pronounce the name of it. I am not sure. When I started out the game, I chose Quaxly as my starter, and I named my Quaxly Dewey because Quaxly reminds me of Dewey from DuckTales, so listen, I had to do it. So I was playing through the game, Quaxly evolved into Quaxwell, and Quaxwell evolved into Quaxaval. When I was designing Quaxaval as a human, and whenever I see him in the game itself, he's a very flamboyant boyo. In fact, I would say that his idle animation itself looks reminiscent of a ballroom dancer, or I guess Latin style. So I took that inspiration and just turned him into a dancer. As well as Quaxaval is just a very extra flamboyant looking Pokemon. He has feather designs all over his body, bright colors of reds, yellows, and blues with all the primary colors. And overall, just Quaxaval is just a very, I guess, Latin-inspired Pokemon, which I think is even the theme of this region. So, very fitting. I wanted to give Quaxaval some attitude, but unfortunately I didn't really portray that very well in the piece. But that's on me. That's 100% on me, not on my design. Tried to incorporate the elements of his Pokemon onto his clothing, like the little circly, spherical looking things that I think are supposed to represent feathers. I incorporated onto his pants and the top part of, I guess, what would be considered his belt. But I just gave him these really extremely high-rise, fancy-looking pants that just exude the energy of fancy ballroom dancer, as well as kind of giving him that extra flamboyant outfit that's somewhat inspired by Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, with the fancy white underneath shirt with a jacket over the shoulder that's just ever so extra and fancy. I also gave him earrings in the shape of his feathers on his outfit. I gave him a feather in his hair to represent the feather on his head. I gave him a little, I guess it could be considered a rat tail, to again reminisce of his feathers and bird-like features. And I gave him these very prominent bright red eyebrows to represent his character's giant winged red eyebrows. That was my first character. I don't quite know if I nailed Quaxaval's vibe completely, but for my first attempt of doing Pokemon Gajinka, overall, I think I did pretty good, not gonna lie. It's not my best work, but I am learning to become proud of myself and my art. The next Pokemon on the roster is my Sylveon. If you watched my video where I ranted about my obsessions, you all know very well that I had caught a Sylveon and that I love my Sylveon to death. If you want to hear more about that, I suggest you go watch that video. I do want to preface that in the video, I kept referring to Sylveon as a she, and I think that's simply because Sylveon is such a feminine, girly-looking Pokemon. But when I opened up the game and played it that night, I then realized that I was a stupid doofus, and that my Pokemon, in fact, is a boy. So, Sylveon, I am so sorry you are indeed a boy. And I really had to think of a design for Sylveon in that sense. Sylveon has this type thing where when it's let out in a battle, it makes the opponent fall in love with Sylveon. And in that sense, it makes the other Pokemon's defense lowered. So, that gave me some ideas, as well as the fact that one of Sylveon's moves in the game is called Discharming Voice. And basically, Sylveon sings a song and it attacks the other Pokemon. And I was like, okay, what is a person who sings and makes people fall in love with them? K-pop idols, of course. So I decided to make a Pokemon-inspired Sylveon K-pop idol. If you don't think Sylveon will be a K-pop idol in real life, agree with me, because I'm right. I decided to give the same color palette as the original Pokemon, and I gave my human Sylveon design this hair where it was white, but since K-pop idols dye their hair all the time, I was like a tri-colored hair that went from white to pink to blue to teal. And I gave him teal eyes, some bright full lips, a microphone, earrings, accessories, and I tried to give him this idol-esque outfit of these fancy pants, a fancy belt. I gave him several different bow ties to represent Sylveon's little bow ties. And I overall did reference a photo of a K-pop idol for his pose in the full body version. So yeah, overall, I think in the Pokemon universe, this design would work really well if Sylveon were to be like a fairy type gym leader who is like a K-pop idol, almost like the VTuber idol who is in Pokemon Violet. So, you know, yeah, Pokemon, if you like the idea of having a K-pop idol in your games, you know, just hit me up, bro. That is my final design of human Sylveon. He is a handsome heartbreaker K-pop idol. And then lastly, the next Pokemon on my team was actually Serena, but I could not for the life of me think of a design for Serena when I was working on this video. I have since thought of a better design for human Serena, but during the time I was just really having a rough time designing a human Serena. So I decided to move on to the next Pokemon in my roster, which is actually Flareon. Yes, I 100% am feeding into the stereotype that women only pick Pokemon based on how cute they are and not their actual skill set. Although I am not that bad, I do try to have a somewhat balanced team. I try not to have two of the same type on my team, and I do try to have a whole variety of moves so I can easily adapt to any kind of battle. With Flareon, I decided to give her a big, like, fiery looking hair. In fact, I think if she were to be in the game, I would give her hair, or at least her ponytail, the animation to make it look like it was actually like moving, flowing fire. I decided to give my human Flareon design a big, huge, fluffy yellow scarf that could both show off the intenseness of Flareon, but also the shyness of Flareon. When I was designing Flareon, I found that when I look at Flareon looks like it's that one kid who's trying to be edgy, but they're just really shy and quiet. So I tried to make a design that could go both ways of the stereotypical super intense fire type person, but then also she can hide underneath her scarf and look super cute and shy. I tried to go with a design that could emulate both energies. I gave her green eyes like her original Pokemon counterpart, a color scheme of yellows, oranges, reds with accent colors like greens and blues. And yeah, fun fact, I also thought that Flareon was a boy until I opened up the game and realized that my Flareon was once again a girl. So here I am, misgendering all of my Pokemon. I am so sorry, guys. I decided to give my Flareon these giant, like, poofy leg warmer thingies with these giant, oversized, almost Sonic-looking shoes. And I feel like it makes the silhouette look very intense and very recognizable. So yeah, that was the final design of Flareon. Woohoo! So that was half of my Pokemon team turned into humans. If you liked this video and you want to see the rest of my team turned into human versions of themselves, I would gladly do so. Just let me know and I will get working on it. Or I might just do it anyway, and you guys have to watch it because I said so. And I just genuinely had a really great time working on this video. So if you enjoyed it yourself, I recommend checking out my other videos. I did a lot of character design in my Lackadaisy video, so I would suggest checking that one out. And I will see you all in my next video, whenever that is. And bye-bye-bye!